Hello, I'm Dr. Mark McClure, and I am your professor this semester in American History. I'm providing this video to introduce the course and explain how the course will be conducted, how your grade will be computed, and to look at other aspects of the course syllabus. If you have any questions as I present this introduction, please jot them down and bring them to class. Let me briefly introduce myself. I've been teaching on the college level for about 15 years. I completed my undergraduate degrees in business and history at Roanoke College, and then studied in France before completing my master's degree in history at the University of North Texas, and then my PhD in history at George Washington University in Washington, D.C. My prime area of research and writing is transatlantic political, economic, and foreign policy history between 1870 and 1950. This means I especially focus on the industrial age in Europe and America in the late 19th century and the changes and difficulties that attended that amazing development in human history. I'm especially interested in the development of new political movements that sought to address the problems of industrialization, mass urbanization, the concentration of wealth among the capital class, in contrast to the deep poverty of millions upon millions of Europeans, many of whom immigrated to the United States. In this period, I'm also interested in the foreign policy of the European empires and the United States, with special emphasis on World War I, the interwar period, World War II, and the post-war competition between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. My principal writing on this period of history is a biography of George Rubley, an American corporate lawyer who became involved in American political reform during the Progressive Era and was involved in foreign policy from World War I to the end of World War II. I'm very interested in human affairs, and I apply my understanding of the historical development in the fields of politics, economics, foreign affairs, and cultural history in an attempt to understand current events in America and around the world. The purpose of my classes is to equip students with a similar understanding of the past so that they might understand the world in which they live and be well-informed citizens. There are multiple learning objectives for this class. As I mentioned, the prime objective is that you all come away with a sophisticated understanding of the nation in which you live. This will include an understanding of the evolution of the political structure of the United States, not only its representative form of government from the local level up to the national level, but also an understanding of the federal system that binds the individual states together and is an entity with some independent power that is sometimes in a contentious relationship with some number of the states. A key element to understanding the dynamics of our political structure is an understanding of the development and role of political parties in America. A study of the political parties leads us into a consideration of the nation's economic life and the competition between various economic segments of society. Of critical importance here is the understanding of how economic policy, which is established through laws, is at the heart of most political divisions in American history. We will time and time again see conflicts emerge over political economic issues. At the core of these conflicts is the natural desire among humans to see laws that do not harm or limit their ability to make as good a living as possible. We will repeatedly see a conflict over state and national economic policy, where the propertied people, be it agriculturally based, commercial based, or industrial based, are at odds with the less propertied people, who see the propertied class as taking advantage of them. On the other hand, we will see the property people repeatedly worried about the organization of the less property people, who, through our democratic system, might be in a position to pass laws which limit their economic goals or even go after their wealth and resources. We will trace this phenomenon throughout the history of the United States. Another theme that we will consider is the development of our multicultural society. We have multiple angles to consider in this field. First of all, we're going to see immigrants from multiple European countries arriving to America with divergent cultural traditions, including religious traditions, divergent political and economic backgrounds, and diverse languages. We will pay attention to the conflict that already existed between these groups and how an eventual blending of these cultures shaped a most distinct nation in the history of the world. The forced transfer of Africans to America and the long-term mistreatment of this group by European Americans will also be an important part of the course, as will the ongoing xenophobic attitudes of the majority of European Americans to the arrival of Asians and other non-European populations to America. Another cultural aspect of our consideration is the conflict that emerges between rural traditional values based around agriculture and Judeo-Christian values versus the development of an urban, secular, modernistic value system that develops in the cities and penetrates into the heartland of America throughout the 20th century. This conflict between traditional rural values and urban secular values will lead to periodic culture wars that get integrated into the national political parties that I mentioned earlier. Another theme of primary importance is expansion of the United States. This we will call foreign policy, as it has to do with how the American people increasingly expanded across the Northern American continent during the 19th century, and then expanded its economic and political and military influence on the international stage in the 20th century. This history includes the 300-year conquest of the European American people against Native Americans, wars of expansion against Mexico and Spain in the 19th century, and multiple stages of expansion and contraction of American influence on the world stage in the 20th and even into the 21st century. To summarize, this course examines the United States' political, economic, cultural, and foreign policy history. Students will demonstrate their understanding of these areas of American history through multiple assignments, and they will be assessed on the degree to which they demonstrate a sophisticated and accurate understanding of American history. These assignments include reading quizzes based on the textbook, discussion and written responses to assigned primary readings, exams based on the lecture, and thematic essays. Reading quizzes are based on the textbook. I provide a list of questions for each chapter, and you read and take notes for your answers. The quizzes will be held in class. You'll have 10 questions based on the reading questions I provided for the chapter. You may bring your own notes to the quiz, but not your book. You'll have about 10 minutes to take the quiz. Throughout the semester, we will be analyzing primary documents. These are historical documents that will allow us to better understand the past. The documents will be provided as a hyperlink on eLearn. Some of these we will read in class and discuss, and others you will read in advance and provide written responses. The tests and comprehensive exam are based on my lectures. I provide a list of identifications for all of my lectures. The identifications are the things that help us understand what is happening in a particular period. If you take notes on my lectures and make identification cards to quiz yourself as preparation, you will likely do well on my tests. The tests will be administered in the computer room across from our class, and you will have an hour to complete the test. In the test, I provide a statement and you select the correct answer from a drop-down box. There are about 75 questions for each test. There are 3 tests and a final comprehensive exam at the end of the semester. Here's an example of what the test looks like. There is also a written essay component to the class. Because I've had so much trouble with students plagiarizing their essays and others who simply don't care to make much of an effort, in recent years I've made the writing component of the class optional. However, if you do not do the writing component, the highest grade you can get in the class is a B because you will not be doing the full class. For those who elect to write the essays, there will be 1 essay for each test and a comprehensive final essay. If you elect to do the essay component of the class, you must turn the following form in which you agree to the restrictions on writing the essay. This amounts to a contract between us. Let's now look at some other aspects of the course syllabus. Instructional and evaluation methods. Number 1, students will be expected to attend class and to participate in class discussions and activities. Number 2, students will be expected to read the required text material through Chapter 15, upon which they will be quizzed and also complete online work. Number 3, students will be expected to perform satisfactorily on the scheduled reading quizzes, written work, examinations, and on the final exam. Number 4, students will be expected to comply with classroom, attendance, and testing policy. Attendance policy. Students who miss 3 weeks' worth of classes, excused or unexcused combined, shall receive a 3-point deduction from their final average. Each additional absence shall result in a 1-point deduction from their final average. Students are only allowed to make up a quiz or exam if they have an authorized excuse. Students with an exam conflict must notify the instructor at least 1 class period in advance in order to receive an excused absence and to schedule an alternate time. Students involved in an emergency situation leading to an absence must contact the instructor on the day of the missed quiz or exam. The final exam will be offered only at its scheduled date. Make sure that any end-of-semester travel does not conflict with our final exam schedule. Alternative teaching plan. In the event of declared disruption of the college academic schedule, for instance, should we have an electrical power outage or an ice storm, all students will refer to course syllabi and course website on eLearn to retrieve current information and assignments. Each student will be expected to follow course schedule and updates according to instructor directions for the duration of the disruption, and stay tuned to the college website for further information. Course ground rules. All students attending Walter State Community College, regardless of the time and location of the class, must abide by the rules and regulations outlined in the current Walter State Catalog and Student Handbook, which may be accessed online. Students should attend the first day of class or contact their instructor prior to the first day of class. Failure to do this may result in being dropped from the class. Plagiarism, cheating, and other forms of academic dishonesty are prohibited. The minimum penalty for cheating shall be the receiving of a 0 on the examination or assignment. Academic dishonesty may result in an F for the entire course. Students with disabilities must register with the Student Support Services in the Student Services Building if they need any special facilities, services, or consideration. Students in need of tutoring assistance are encouraged to contact the Office of Student Tutoring, located in the Student Services Building. If you need help with technology issues, please contact the Help Desk. Students receiving any type of financial aid or scholarship should contact the Financial Aid Office before making any changes to their schedule. Schedule changes without prior approval may result in loss of award for the current term and future terms. Cellular phone use during classroom interaction is prohibited. This includes texting. Cellular phones must be turned off to the non-audible mode until after class, at which time calls can be received or checked. Text messaging in class is prohibited. Notify your instructor if you have a dire situation that may require you to communicate during class. For information related to the cancellation of classes due to inclement weather, please check the college's website. There are also a number of other ways to get information regarding weather closure, which you will find in the syllabus. Here they are. Dual enrollment students attending on a high school campus should refer to the high school inclement weather cancellations policies. There are other things within the syllabus that you should look at and read. I will scroll through them here so you can see what they are. Final classroom rules. No food, phones, or tobacco products in class. Students will not be allowed to engage in distracting or disruptive behavior. Persons not enrolled in the course may not attend the class without the instructor's prior permission. Students will not be allowed to leave and return to class during an exam. Students who miss an exam due to an emergency must notify the instructor on the day of the exam or before. All work must be made up 1 week before classes end. Late work is accepted at the instructor's discretion, and hefty grade reductions will be applied as a late penalty. Please make sure you look over the syllabus and familiarize yourself with it. If you have any questions about how your grade is computed, or any other aspects of the syllabus or how the course is going to be conducted, please ask me during class.